Okay, wonderful. All right, so yeah, like I said, we're going to do chapters 7, 8, and 9 today, which covers text, vector graphics, guides, and rulers. We're going to go like only like puddle deep into vector graphics because there are better programs for that, and you probably don't need to know that right now. Okay, but I want to go through text quickly because if you're doing any kind of composition, most likely you want to put in some headings or some text. Okay, so let's create a new document. File new, okay, so if you haven't done it already, open Photopea, but looks like you guys are all there already. And let's do a print document, okay. Let's do an A5, and I'm going to make it landscape, so I'm going to use this little switcheroo button under the width and height, okay, width and height, yeah. And then I'm going to go create. All right, cool, wicked. And our text is as simple as going, looking on the left-hand side of your toolbar, then going to the big letter T, okay? Or you can press T for type, T for text on your keyboard, okay? And that'll take you to the type button. It might take a little bit to load at first, a little bit of time, because it's loading a bunch of fonts, okay? So this is one of the advantages that Photoshop or an image editing program that runs on your computer has over a browser-based editing program like Photopea, because you have some default fonts built into Photopea, and you can check them out over here. As soon as you open the type tool, you'll see that it says Deja Vu Sans over there, okay? And if you click on that drop-down list, you'll get a list of all the fonts that come with Photopea, okay? Some of them there are quite a few in here. Some of them you might recognize. Some of the common ones, maybe like Arial or Times New Roman, the ones that you shouldn't be using in your layouts anyway, they might not be there, okay? But guaranteed there's something that probably looks very similar. But if you do want to load a particular font, because maybe you're working for a client and they have a particular corporate identity and they're like, no, we use Gotham, okay? In fact, BHC actually uses Gotham as part of our corporate identity. So you can go to load font over there, okay? And fonts are basically OTF or TTF files. And you can go load font, and then so when you download a font off the internet, it usually saves a little zip file for you or whatever, so you just have to unzip that file, and then inside there will be an OTF or a TTF type file, and then you can go load font, and then you can choose that font like that. Okay, so you can load custom fonts into it, so you're not stuck with just the ones that are in there. All right, but you can see next to it there it says preview, the word preview, and that is written in the actual font, so it shows you what the font will look like with the letters preview. Okay, and if you want to filter these fonts, you'll see that fonts are organized into these categories: black letter, calligraphic, comic, dingbat, display, and there's a little, where's the little button? There it is over there, this little black slide and blob. Okay, you can go down there: monospace, novelty, pixel, programming, retro, sans serif, script, serif, slab serif, stencil, typewriter. Okay, do you know what the difference between sans serif and serif font is?
Sans, it means without, is it?
No, yes, sans is without.
Means without, which means it doesn't have a detailed like age or something.
That's right. Those little feet, okay, that you see on the letter. In fact, it's even there on the letter T for the text tool. You'll see at the end of the horizontal part of the T, there's like a little triangular bit, and there's a little foot on the bottom of the T. That's called a serif. Okay. So a font like Arial or Comic Sans, well, even the name is a giveaway. It's got the word sans in it, or some case. It doesn't, like Arial, but that is a sans serif font because it doesn't have those little feet on it, okay? And then you also get something called a slab serif, which rather than the foot being sort of curved, like that little piece as it merges, kind of blends into the side of the letter, it's quite blocky, okay? That's called a slab serif. It's a little bit of facts there for you. Okay, so at this point, you can go ahead with your type tool, okay? Anywhere in your canvas, if you just click, I've actually accidentally laid a type layer in there already. Let me quickly go back to type here. If I just click somewhere, it's going to just drop a little point down, and I can start typing at this point. Okay, text, blah, blah, blah. Okay, it's very small, so I can zoom in here, or I can just make the text bigger. Okay, but it works like AutoCAD. You have to select the part of the text that you want to make bigger or format. Okay, format, I mean like make bold or make italic or change the font or something like, or the spacing. Okay. And that you can do from up here on this bar. And then if you look on the side here where we have those extra properties, where brush properties and stuff lived, okay, where these little abbreviations are next to your layer palette over there, there's something called CHA and PAR. That stands for character and paragraph. Okay, so you can get into more fine control over text by using these two little pop-out palettes here, character and paragraph. Okay. So I've written some text in there at the moment. It's very small, so I'm just going to wait. I'm going to move my cursor over there till I get that little, looks like a capital letter I, okay. And then I'm just going to click and drag my mouse cursor over there to select the text. This should be pretty straightforward for you guys. And then I'm just going to change my size over here, okay. I can type in an actual height, like 24 pixels or whatever, or I can just click on that little drop down list and I can get the slider and I can drag that up to make it bigger and bigger, okay. And if I want to change the font, just select the text that you want to change the font of, because you can have multiple fonts within one piece of text, okay. Let's say I want to change it to De Valencia. That's quite cool, looks like a movie poster. Okay, and then maybe I want these 3 words to be something else. Then I can change that to something like Federant. Okay, there we go. And if I want this part bold, I can go to this little drop down box next to the font where it says regular. Not every font has a bold version of it installed, okay. So if you only see regular, that's all you get, unfortunately. You might have to search for another font if you want to make it bold. Maybe the bold might be actually listed underneath the font, kind of like a separate font, okay. Full bow, let's see, Argenta, Champagne, Retro, I don't even know what this is, okay. But if there is an option to make the font bold, you'll find it underneath there. Give me one that's bold. It's in Gaspar. Regular. Italic bold. There we go. Okay, bold italic. So you can format your text like that. And I can make this a completely different size as well. Okay, in relation to the rest of the text. So you can mix and match text like that. And then you can change things like the letter spacing. And that's done by going to make sure the text is selected. Okay, so there you'll see that the text that I typed in there has actually become the name of the layer as well. When I first created it, and there is a text object layer on top of there. So remember this, this is like a smart object, okay? You can always double click on any text. If you just double click on the T here, or the little icon preview, it's not really a preview like other layers because it's not really a raster layer yet. It's still a special text object. So that means that you can double click on it and change it, and I can go in between these 2 letters and hit enter, and I can skip a line, okay? Enter again, I can type some more stuff in there. Okay, it's all good, but I can keep typing and it'll just keep going on to infinity and infinity until it falls off the page. Okay, and that's one difference between when you use the text tool. If you just use the tool and click somewhere and let go, it creates a line like of infinite length. Okay, and you can just type and type and type and type and type. So if you're just putting in a heading or a label, it's fine. You can do that. But if you know that you're going to be creating paragraph text, or that you want the text to fall into an object, in this case a rectangle, because that's how most paragraphs are formatted, okay? Then rather than just clicking and letting go, when you have the text tool selected, click and drag rather, and you'll see that you get something similar to that transform controls kind of coming out, okay? And then when you're happy with the area that you want to fill with text, in other words, the invisible lines around your paragraph or your body text, you can just let go. Right, and then when you start typing, it will come out in there. And when it reaches the end of that thing, oh, okay, you need to have some spaces in the word, otherwise it thinks you're writing a continuous word. Okay, space. Okay, but as you get to the end of that thing, it'll look for any spaces between your words and it'll put it down to the next line. Okay, so you can format text like that. There we go. Okay, and you can hit enter and skip a line anytime you want to do that, if you want to just make some heading spaces, okay? And you'll see that the text that I have started typing underneath this FGH at the bottom here is not visible. It's because I've started typing outside of the limits of this box, okay? So if you see your text cursor floating in white space down there, it's because you've just typed too much in there. And then it's fine. With the text tool still selected, you can just hover over one of these grips around the paragraph here and you can just drag that little box to make it fit the text. You'll see that as I squash it, the text also auto formats to fit within that box. Okay, and there's a couple of alignment things that you can do with this as well. If you have your text inside a paragraph like that. And so if you just go down to, in fact, you can actually do it from up here. Okay, you can see it's left aligned at the moment. I can center align it. Let me just select all the text there, okay? Control A is a shortcut to select everything. Otherwise, you can just drag your cursor around the whole lot in there. And then I can choose left alignment, center align, or right align. Okay, and do you know what justification is? Justification adjusts the spacing between individual words so that each line basically touches the edge of this paragraph box here. And if you're doing a lot of text layout, it can be just a little bit neater because you have everything on a nice left line over there, but the edge over here is kind of quite ragged. Okay, let me quickly move. Oh, and you can also move text around. You'll see that if you have your text, your cursor outside of the text box, it's turned into that little four-way stop thing. You can just click and drag that around like that. Okay, so you can move your paragraph wherever you want. I'm going to select this other text object that I had down there. I'm just going to go to my move tool and click on it. There we go. And select it and move it out the way. And I'm going to duplicate this layer or this text object that is the paragraph. Okay, there it is up there. So I'm just going to, same way I do a regular layer duplication, I can just click and drag it onto the new layer thing there. And I should be able to right click and go duplicate layer also. Okay, so what it's done is it's put a copy exactly on top of the other copy. So you don't see it at first, but if you start moving them, you'll see that they move. There's my copy over there. Okay, so I'll show you what justification does quickly. If I just go back to select this text object there, okay, and if you don't want the contents of the text that you've written to be the title of the layer, you can always double click on the text part of the layer and change it to something else. If you just want to call it text or whatever, or like body text, like that. Okay, boy text. There we go. Okay, if you want to organize it a little bit better. So let me show you justification. Where is that? So I'm going to go back to my text tool here. I'm going to double click. Which one is it? This one, yeah. Double click over there, and you'll see that when I double clicked on it there, it automatically selected all the text in that block for me. Just as a kind of a shortcut, because it figures maybe you want to do something to all the text. Okay, so I can go and change the font here or whatever the size. But I'm just going to go down here to paragraph. Okay, so you can see I've got three basic controls for alignments at the top here, left, center, and right. But if you want justification, you have to find that underneath this little paragraph flyout here. Okay, and there they are over there. If I hover over here, is it going to tell me? No, okay, but there it is there. So there's left, center, and right. And then if you keep looking, that's full justification there. And you'll see what happened there. It basically, because of it just added some extra space in there so that the edge of this word touches the right edge of this box here. And if I go over there, that's full justification but center aligned. That's justified but right aligned. And then that's just full everywhere. Okay, I don't really use that one much. But if you do want to make this text look a little bit neater, you can use one of these justification settings, okay? And you'll see that after a while, even if I add in a couple of words here, it'll still keep squeezing it in until it runs out of space, then it'll put it down to the next line. But what it does is if you have a lot of text next to one another, you see it just makes it very neat. I don't have this kind of like, I've got a nice straight line down there, but then it kind of goes in a little bit here because the words don't perfectly line up to that right edge. But justification does do that. So if you have lots of columns of text, it's just a nice way to lay it out. Okay, and it's the same principle as any other text editor. You can even do this in AutoCAD or Word or anything like that. Okay, yeah, so that's a little overview of text. Pretty basic. You can also put text onto a curve as well. That's a little more tricky, but let's try that. So that's kind of where vector graphics come in, which we'll look at shortly. What else can I tell you about this? Text on curve, editing type there. Let's have a look at some spacing quickly. Okay, so let me put a new text object down just over there in this blank space. Oopsie. So if you use the text tool and you click on some existing text somewhere else, it'll end up placing your little cursor inside that text as if you're editing it. Okay. And because this text object here is quite long, because of that bottom word I put in there, if I move my text tool into this blank space, it thinks I'm actually trying to edit the text that's already there. Okay, so I'm just going to do that. Let me try that again. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to put in the word heading here. I'm just going to make it a bit bigger so you can see it. Okay, let me choose a different font for it. Matiz. Okay, cool. So there you can all see that. So we're working with this character flyout now. I want you to just go up to, paragraph. You just go up to the one above it, CHA for character over there. You can see there's my size, okay, 175 pixels, my tracking, okay. So if I change my tracking, that is going to change the individual space between my lettering like that, okay. If I leave it on 100%, if I just type in 100 there again, that was kind of the way it was. And then I can change it like, tracking was 0 actually, wasn't it? 0 is the default, sorry. And then you can change this tracking slider and you can adjust the spacing like that. It's something that makes it seem more modern for some reason. I don't know, there's a couple of brands where you'll see that a little bit of spacing between letters can really just help a little bit. Even if you're trying to make it fit into particular parts of your composition and you'd like it to be a little bit longer, but you don't want to have to like press H space, E space, A space, okay? Rather adjust that with the tracking instead. And then you can change something called the leading. Okay, these are just old terms that go back to like mechanical printing days when they used to take lead letters and they used to stack them up on like a little wooden block and then they'd press that into the page, okay, like good old-fashioned press printing. Okay, which is still around, but it's like a very old school process now. But there's a company called Letterpress in Cape Town. They're really nice. Like people use them for wedding invites and that kind of stuff because the paper, when you print it like that, it actually gets debossed a little bit. So it's almost like a 3D feel to the paper. You can feel the letters being pressed into the paper. It's quite cool. Anyway, so leading, you won't see any difference if you're using leading on a single line of text. It basically adjusts the spacing between lines. Okay. So I've just typed in the G, I've hit enter now to go to a new line. I'm going to type in new stuff here. Okay, new. All right, so now if I select the stuff and I change my leading over there. Oops, shit. Okay, there we go. It's kind of squashing the lines together. Okay. It goes from 0 to 100 pixels, but if you max out at 100, you can change that and type in your own thing there, like 200, okay, or 300. And then you can adjust the individual line spacing like that, and I think it works in paragraph text as well. Yep, okay. So if you want to adjust your line spacing, and you want you can even take to the point where the text overlaps itself. If you have a leading of 0, it all sits on top of each other, okay. So you can just leave it at its default setting, but if you do want to tweak it, you can tweak it like this. So these are the two main controls there. It's basically the tracking, which is the letter spacing, and then the leading, which is the line spacing, if you want to think of it like that. And then there's some extra options down here, superscript, subscript, things like that. So if you type in meters squared, for example, in fact, this is probably a useful one because you might use it. So let's say I'm typing in... I've got a room and it's 8 meters squared. That looks like 8m2. In order to make this look like squared, I just select the 2 and I go over to this little icon here where it says P2. Okay, that is called superscript. It means it's like super, I don't know. There we go. Okay, but if I click that, it becomes that little tiny symbol like squared or cubed or something like that. Okay, and then if you want to make it subscript, you can use it like that. This is kind of if you're laying out mathematical equations, or sometimes if you're some kind of engineering piece of information or something, you might want to use a little letter 2 or a big letter 2 or a small letter 2, but above the wording like that, like squared symbol. Okay, so you can do that over there. And then you've got your regular settings over here, like you can, it's the same as selecting it over there. Okay, this font only has regular, but you can kind of fake a bold look by clicking on that one there, or italic like that, or something like that, okay, or strike through where you put a line through the text, but that's a horrible effect. I don't know why you never use that. Okay, so you can use these tools to just play with text and format it and get it looking the way that you want. Okay, text is really not that scary. So I'm just going to turn off all these text objects quickly. It's been a long time since I've done some text on a curve, but it should be pretty simple. So So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get you to put in a curve first. And this is going to be a little bit like drawing a spline in AutoCAD, if you remember that. Right, and this is where vector graphics come in. So remember, back to that very first lesson we had about just introduction to digital media in general, you know that there are two types of images, digital images, okay? Images that are composed of pixels that we refer to as bitmapped or raster images. Okay, and that most of the work that we're doing in Photopea will be raster based. Okay, we're going to be working with pixels, but in some cases, like text, for example, it's a type of vector object, strictly speaking. And if you've heard of Adobe Illustrator, that is a more vector orientated image editing program. Okay, and something like CorelDRAW as well. CorelDRAW is also vector graphics primarily. You can obviously take raster images and put them in there and scale them and maybe flip them and stuff like that. But if you want to start changing the pixel information on that image, then you're best off using something like Photopea or Photoshop to do it, not Illustrator. That's the wrong program, okay? Because that specialty is vector graphics. But there's a lot of overlap between programs, so you can get vector graphics capabilities, basic capabilities with Photopea or Photoshop, something like that. So if you look underneath the text tool, you'll see there's looks like a little old school fountain pen, okay? That is your little vector pen tool. And if you click and hold it, you can get pen and then free pen, okay? So free pen is like your brush. If you go to free pen and you just start clicking and dragging over the canvas, okay? It makes, and you'll see there, as soon as I let go, it created this as a vector shape, okay? Wherever I drew, it's called shape 1. And you'll see that it's a vector shape because if I look at the icon in the layers palette, it's got something that looks like a little square in the corner with 4 little handles on it. Okay, you'll have to squint real hard to see it. But you have your little icon preview like this, and then in the corner you've got a little thing like this. That little thing there tells you that that's a vector object. Okay, and you'll remember that the smart object looks like a little square without the handles, etc. Okay. That was a simple way to create a vector object just by freehanding it with a mouse, but you're going to end up with some pretty squiff looking ones. Okay, the easiest way to draw vector objects is just to use your regular vector pen tool there underneath the text tool, and you just click to place the first point down, and then you can place another point and it'll draw a straight line between them. And if you click and then hold and drag, you'll see that instead of placing a single point that makes a sharp corner, you can get one with a curve. Okay. And this is a really great way to mask around edges of organic shaped things like people or dogs or balls or pets or anything that has kind of a curve to it. Okay. Remember when we went through selection tools? You could use your magnetic selection tool, or you could do color range select, or you could do a polygonal lasso, okay? But sometimes if you, sometimes creating a nice smooth Bezier curve like this is called a Bezier curve. Can help you get a really nice, neat, clean, smooth selection around something. And you can do that with this vector tool. Okay, and I'll show you how to make a selection from it. So you can draw wherever you want with this, and you'll notice that when the object starts to intersect itself, the colors do this kind of like, you see the colors seem to kind of fade in and out like there. Okay, it can't figure out which is the inside of the shape and which is the outside, so you'll see that it starts to skip out areas like that if you start intersecting itself. Okay, and then if you want to close the shape, you can just leave it at this point. You don't have to make sure that the 2 points, the starting and end points touch, but you can just click on the end points if you want to join them manually, and then this shape will be kind of closed if you want to think of it like that. Let me just hide this old shape there in the background. Okay, so you can mix and match curves and straight lines with this. So I could do like, and I can just carry on clicking here because this shape is now finished. I can do a straight line like this, and then down there, and then I can do a curve like this, and then join it over there. And if you ever want to go back and edit that curve, you can just go back with your pen tool and just click on one of the points that you already laid down. Okay, like over there somewhere. Where's it? Oh, shit, there. And then you can adjust the little handles. Oh, hang on a minute. Oh, it's just laying new points there. There we go. You have to hold in the Alt key, Alt and Control. Okay, and then you can adjust these handles. Alt? No? Control. Okay. If you hold in the Control key and you click on one of the points, you can adjust this position. Just drag it to a new position. As long as you hold in the Control key, okay. If you click on a point and you don't have Control in, it will remove that point. Okay, so I can select this shape. Oops, let me just go and select this shape here, shape 2. and then control on that one there, and you'll see these handles move out there, and then I can adjust the angle of the shape like this. So you can go in and manipulate the shape a little bit more, drag these points around if you want. But I'm holding control the whole time. Yeah. Okay, and then you can use these handles, just hold in control, and then you can adjust the angle like this. And if you hold in Alt, you can actually break the handle over like that, so that these things can both have a different curve entering and exiting that point, but the point itself stays a little sharp corner. Right, so I encourage you to play around with this, and you can use these for creating vector masks on things as well. Let's quickly find an image. So just open a Google image search for something. I'm going to search for an old dog. Not a young one, an old one. Yep. Just tired, sad old dog. I'm going to paste it in there. Make it a bit bigger. Yep. I'm going to hide some of these shapes here. I don't want to see those. Okay, so if I want to create a mask for this dog, you know that we can create masks by painting into them with any one of our brush tools or making a selection or something like that. So I could, for example, take my elliptical select tool and draw a selection over the dog, and then just go to mask over there and do a mask like that. Okay, but I can also do a vector mask. Where is that? If I go to my pen tool, let me just undo that. If I go to my pen tool here and start drawing around there. Okay. When you're done with your shape, if you right click on it in your layers palette, you can go to clipping mask. No, excuse me, not that one. You can, where is it? Oh, select pixels. Okay, and it creates a selection around the outline of your vector mask. Then you can just select layer 1 and click on mask, and it'll make a selection it'll make a mask from that selection. Okay, so after you've done drawing your vector shape, you right click on it, go to select pixels. It creates a selection from the vector shape, and then you can use that selection to then make a mask on your dog in this case. Okay, so if you have like an irregular shape and you don't want to go a long way around it, having to paint it in onto a mask layer, you can create a vector shape first to your liking. Then you can right click on it, say select pixels, and then apply that to a mask somewhere. Okay, is that working for you all? See, like Alana, what you've done there, drawing around the shape of that thing's head, looks like a baby fennec pop or something there. It is. Yeah. So that's a great way to use the vector, to use the pen tool to create a vector mask to select that, because it's got a weird shape with its ears there and like that. Maybe you don't want sharp corners. Yes, yeah. So you can do it like that. Does it work for you? A couple of little ones. So you can select, if you hold in shift, click on shape I go for, then hold in shape 1 here. Now you can drag all those into the, yeah. Okay, yeah?
How do I get this to be like that?
You want to make a mask out of it?
I created a mask.
Oh, okay.
But
all you've done is you've masked your shape. Okay, your mask is sitting on your shape. You want the mask to be sitting on the dog, on the fox. Okay. So just right click on the shape thing again. Go to select pixels. Okay, now select layer 1 instead, and then create a mask from that. Okay, then you can just turn off the top layer. Alright, so that's a little quick intro to the vector tool. I'm not going to go into much more detail than that. You guys can figure it out in your own time. But I do want to show you how to put text on a curve. Okay, so if you want to put text inside a round circle, for example, or any shape for that matter, Let me turn this off for a second. Okay, I'm back to blank canvas there. Take your pen tool and then draw a curve. Okay, a curved shape, any shape you want. Maybe it's got straight lines. Try not to make it intersect with itself because I think it's going to make your text confused. Okay, but there's a pretty crazy shape there. Okay, and if you double click on the shape at any point after you've created it, you can change the color of it as well. Okay, so if perhaps you just want to have a colorful shape in your composition for no reason whatsoever, maybe it's a background element or something like that, then you can just double click on that shape in your layer list and you can select a new color for it like that. And you can keep drawing and building up shapes like this as well. And the nice thing about it is it's not raster data necessarily. So you can rasterize it if you want. You could right click on it and go rasterize, and then it's no longer a vector shape. It's now basically saved the pixel information from there, and if I zoom in, you'll see it eventually gets pixelated. All right, if you rasterize the layer. And if you want to do something like add an effect to it or use the brush tool on top of the vector shape, you're going to be adding that pixel data or that raster data on top of vector shape. They're not going to gel well together, so it's probably give you a warning saying that you need to rasterize the shape first. Okay. If I go to my paintbrush tool and try and click on it, it says layer is not editable. Okay, that's because it's a vector shape layer. So you can just right click on it and go to rasterize, and then you can go ahead and paint over it to your heart's content. All right, so if you do get an error, just remember you need to rasterize layers like text or smart objects or vector objects if you want to start changing the pixel information. Okay, but it will warn you, it will tell you if you're trying to do something like that. Okay, did I rasterize that shape? There we go. Okay, I'll hit undo there. So there is my shape. I'm just going to make it white so that it seems transparent. Okay, but if you want to put text into this shape now, you can just take your type tool and you can simply click on the outline, okay, on the border of that shape. And then what happens is the text, okay, the text doesn't fill. The text doesn't, it starts to come out actually on the curve, okay. But there's a way to put it inside the curve as well, which I think if I just click inside it, no, undo quickly. Okay, there we go. No, no. Oh, I've still got this formatting on for my paragraph here. That's why. What is this going on there? Auto. Ah, there we go. Okay, so it's that simple. All right, sorry, let me go back a few steps there. All right, so you've got your shape drawn, okay? It doesn't matter what color it is. But if you want to put text inside that shape, okay, take your text tool and click inside the shape. Okay, and you'll see that it kind of puts it right there at the topmost point. And I'll start typing. Okay, it's a bit difficult to see because the font's a bit big. Let me make it a bit smaller. Oopsie. Okay, but there you go. I can, instead of having that boring rectangular box that I used for my paragraph text, I can actually put it inside a custom shape like that. Okay, and I did that by just drawing the shape with my vector tool and then clicking inside the shape with my text tool. So you're going to have to put a couple of spaces in, and then you'll see that the text comes out. Okay. Sometimes because we were playing with text earlier, you might have left it set on a very big setting, or your tracking or something might be off. So just go to that character box, make sure leading is set on auto. Tracking you can change to like 0%. Actually change it while this is selected here. There we go. Okay, yeah, is that working for everyone? Some of you, Neela, you actually typing the text on the curve, which is the other way to do it, okay? So if you want to, let's say you've designed a logo or something that's an elliptical shape, or a circular shape, and you want the text to go around the bottom like a badge or something, then you can just go to, and in fact, I actually skipped this, but you see underneath the pen tool there, that's if you want to draw like a freeform shape. But if you go 2 tools down, you'll see that there's something called rectangle, U. Okay, not rectangular select, but just rectangle. And if you click on that, you can see there's a couple other options there: line, parametric shape, custom shape. So these are all vector shapes that you can add in. So if you wanted to do, so let's say I was creating a logo over here. Let me turn off this alt layer. Move this up. Let's say I had some image going on over there, and I wanted to create some text that goes around the bottom. Right, what I can do is I can go and put in another ellipse that's a little bit bigger than this one, like that, and I'm just holding in shift right now so that I don't end up getting an oval shape. I get a perfect round circle. Okay, so while I'm clicking and dragging, I'm just holding in shift, give me a completely round circle, and then I hold in alt as well so that it comes out the center of where I started drawing instead of from the top left corner. Right, so just have a go with holding in shift and holding in alt and see what difference it makes. But I'm going to create one that's a little bit larger than this round red dot there. And then if I change my opacity down to nothing on this layer, there we go. I can get rid of the actual fill. So that I'm just left with basically, there's a vector outline there, but it has no fill. That's just the outline is left there. So I did that by lowering the opacity on that layer. Okay, now I'm going to use this as the as the curve in which I'm going to place my text. So I'm going to go back to my text tool, and instead of clicking inside the circle, I want to click on the edge of that circle, on the border. Okay, like that. So now I can type in, this is my text on a circle. Okay, and then you can, there's a way to flip it to the inside or outside of the circle. How do I do it? I click on it. There should be a little X here, symbol, right at the beginning. X and an O symbol. Can you just try something again quickly? Maybe it's having a problem on that there. Supposed to be a little symbol here, like a little X and an O, that lets you choose if you want to place it on the top of the line or the bottom of the line. Okay. That's okay, I'll figure that out in the break. All right, but there you go. There's a basic example of how to put text on a curve there quickly. So strange. Should be on there. Okay, I'll figure that out. All right, but for now, that's a way to put text on a curve. Okay, if you click on the line of the curve, the text will sit on the line. But if you click inside a shape, the text will fall inside that shape. But that should only work with a closed shape, if I'm correct. So let me just draw an open shape here quickly. And then I go text. Oh no, it doesn't. Even if the shape is open, it still puts it inside there. Okay. So that can give you a couple couple of options there, and then I can move my text off that layer, and you'll see that it still remembers the outline that it's placed it in, and it's now separate from that original shape. Okay, so if you're ever wondering what is sitting where, just have a look at your layer list over here. You'll see that this outline that I drew here it's not now forever glued to that circle. It's still a separate vector object, and this text is still separate, and this text is separate as well. So you can split all these elements up if you want to do something more funky like that. Okay. Yeah, this little crash course there. Text style, yep, we did that. Alignment, vector graphics, yep, we did that. Linked, unlinked, look. Structure. Oh, okay, so you can also give different properties to vector objects, kind of like PowerPoint or anything like that. You can give them a different stroke and a fill. Okay. I'll just click on a vector shape here, shape 8. And I should be able to just go blending options. There we go. So remember blending options like layer styles, so you can apply some of these to a vector shape as well. Okay. So if you want to create a little graphic element like an icon or a button or something like that, you can go and just apply a layer style to it. Okay. And that's as simple as just right clicking on the object and going blending options. I think if you double click on it, it gives you a color picker. Yeah, you have to right click, go blending options. There we go. And then you can change the stroke, for example. So I can put a stroke on it there. I can increase the size of the stroke. I can change the color to this light green color. I can change the color of the actual blob itself if I go to color overlay, but I can also do that by just double clicking on the shape itself, choosing a new color like that. Go back in there, blending options. I can put a drop shadow onto it maybe. Size, change the angle of the drop shadow, make it a bit darker. Just the distance, the spread. Okay, there we go. So there, I created all those effects just based on one little ellipse that I drew with my tool there. Okay, and you can do the same thing with maybe what's this parametric shape. Okay, so if you don't want to use the pen to create some kind of freestyle vector graphic shape, you can go down here to like custom shape, and you can go and choose a shape from, where's the shape? Should be a shape selection, shape, path, pixels. Custom shape, very interesting. Oh, you have to import your own selections. Okay. Parametric shape. That's maybe what we want. Parametric. There we go. Ah, there. So we can choose polygon or something up there. Okay, polygon, star, arrow, spiral. So if I choose arrow, I can draw an arrow. Oh, it's a very tiny little arrow point there. I can change the thickness of it to a spiral. Oh, weird. Length 4. Just change that to 23. Oh, and then it's a way more spiral. Okay. If I want to put in a star, you can choose how many sides you want to the star. 8 sides. Okay, and I can just change my colors here as well. And then I can add effects to those. Okay, so if you want to build some elements like that, then go ahead and do it using vector shapes. And you'll see it just keeps putting new layers there, shape 11, shape 11, shape 11. Okay. And then you can mix and match and drag them so that they're on top or below different layers. All right, it's not rocket science. And you can put gradients in there as well. If I just right click on, let's choose the star and go to blending options. You can go to gradient overlay. Okay. And then you can select your gradient from there, and then you should be familiar with this gradient editor. Okay, you can go and select different colors there. A different fade for yourself, like that. That's kind of a bit muddy, it's quite gross. Let me change that to something else. There we go. Right, you'll see that fade coming out across the object like that. Yay. Right. Any questions? No, not so hard, right? Okay, I'll play around with it and just figure out how to get that text to sit on a different side of the line. Okay, and then this is going to be quite a quick day, I think. The next thing I want to show you is just grids and guides and snapping. All right, so let's create a new document for this quickly. File, new. Let's do A5 portrait again. Okay. Where? A5. There we go. Create. I don't think it created because I had another window open. Let me try that again. There we go. Okay. Let's go ahead and find a picture of something. I want to find. Ew. It's a fraught. Okay, there we go. There's my apple. So I just copied and pasted that thing in. And if I go to my move tool now and I move this thing, and do you guys have rulers showing on your photo P? No. Okay. So just go to view menu for me quickly when you find your image and just click on rulers or hit Control R to make sure rulers are showing. Okay. And then you'll see that there are some numbers placed across the top and the side of your image now. And the 0 point by default is always this top left corner. You'll see there is the 0 point on my ruler, my horizontal ruler, 0, 5, 10, 20. And I think this is being measured in, it's not millimeters, that's for sure. I think it's pixels. If I right click on it, oh, it is millimeters. Okay, so if you want to change the units that you are measuring in, so if you're setting up a document or a new composition and it's only going to be viewed on a screen, then you don't need to worry about print resolution, and it's probably better to work in terms of pixels. Okay, like HD format, like 1080 by 1920 pixels or 1280 by 720 or something like that. Okay, then pixels, because you're designing it to be displayed on the screen, then pixels will be your most intuitive unit of measurement. Okay, but if you're designing for print, then you probably want to use something like millimeters. Okay, so A4 page is like 210 by 297 or something like that. Then you can change your ruler. Okay, just right click in the area of the ruler and choose a different unit of measurement. So if I go to pixels, you'll see now that this thing is almost 600 and something pixels there by the time I'm getting to that right edge. And it's about, if I move down here, you'll see that there's a little white line showing, that shows the position of my cursor on this vertical ruler, and it's about 400 and something pixels. Okay, and I can right click on there and change it to millimeters as well if I want to. And if you want to set up a guide, like you want to make sure that all the images and stuff you place are aligned to a guide or a margin for yourself, then you can you can just left click, regular click in any one of the in the vertical horizontal area of the ruler, and you can drag out a guide. It drags out this like cyan colored guide. Okay, and you'll see that before you let go, it gives you a little measurement there, X, 6 millimeters, something like. Okay, that means that I'm placing at 6 millimeters, 6 millimeters from the 0 point, which is on my top left corner. So this is basically 6 millimeters into my document. Why is it so small though? A5 is not 50. What is this? So you can also click on the horizontal ruler at the top, and you can drag down a horizontal guide like that. Okay, and you can keep dragging, keep clicking and dragging, and you can basically add in your own margins like that if you want to. And then you'll see that as you move your cursor over an existing guide, it gives you it changes the icon a little bit, and if you click and drag at that point, you can adjust any guide that you've already set there. And if I go back to my image of a rotten apple now, you'll see that snapping should be turned on by default. So as I move the image close to one of the borders, either the edge of the page itself, you'll see that it snaps to that edge, or as I move it near one of the borders, one of the edges of the nearest edge to that border will snap. Okay, so you'll see that there's the edge of my image there, and as I move it towards the intersection between this vertical and horizontal guide, it snaps into that position there. Okay, so that might make it a little bit easier for you to compose things. if you want to do it that way. And it works with text as well. If I put in a little text object here, I can very neatly snap it into the corners between my guides as well. And then I can go ahead and adjust my guide a little bit and then snap it in there. If you're using guides for some other purpose and you don't necessarily want everything to snap to it, you can go to View and you can just turn off snapping. Or you can snap to certain things like a grid or slices. Slices we know to use document bounds. So if you don't want it to snap to the edges of your document, you can turn off snapping just to document bounds. But you can leave it on for guides or grid. Okay, we're not going to use a grid. If you do want to use a grid, you can display that by just going to View, Show, and then Grid. Okay, and then you can work on a grid layout like this. And then you can actually, you'll see that as I move around, my image and my text and everything actually snaps to the blocks on that grid. Okay, it's not so nice to look at, but if you want to be like super anal about your composition, make sure everything is lined up like this, or you have a lot of elements and you want to have equal spacing between them, then maybe turning on the grid will save you a lot of time. Okay, and making sure that it snaps to the grid as well. And then you can turn off the grid again by just going down here and clicking on it again. It'll take the tick away from it. Or you can hear Control apostrophe. Okay. Control. There. Control apostrophe. That's the shortcut for turning grid on and off. Grids guide, snapping, place a grid. Yep. And that's it. We've come to the end of the notes. Okay. The only things I want to teach you today, we'll do tutorial 3, which should build on some of the tools you've already learned in the previous weeks. And I want to show you a little bit about effects and stuff like that from this filter menu here. All right, but it's almost 10 o'clock, so can we take a 15-minute break? I'm going to have some coffee, and then we'll come back. We'll do tutorial 3, and I'll show you a little bit about effects. And then for after we've done tutorial 3, I think if there's any questions you have, or if you remember anything from a previous lesson that you need help with, you can ask me. Maybe we'll just do some random compositions, and then we'll have we'll do tutorial 4 next week, and we'll do just a general catch-up lesson. Okay, so nothing specific. Then for the rest of the term, we'll do one lesson, maybe 1 or 2 lessons in Canva, so you get your heads around that a little bit, because that's really nice for composition. Super useful tool. And then I'll give out you a brief. Only 2 weeks from now. So yeah, how have you guys found it so far? Hectic. Not so bad, hey? Look, a lot of the functions like I've taught you, you might not use. You might never use masks. Okay, there's a lot of ways to do things. Like if you want to delete part of an image, you might just select part of it and then hit the delete key. And then delete those pixels. Okay, you don't have to use masks. It's just easier in some cases. Okay. And there's lots of things like that. You may never use these vector tools, right? Or you may never use Photopea and just use Canva. That's fine too. Okay. So how you use the tools is up to you. Right. So let's meet back here at 10 past 10. Okay. Thanks. Greetings. I feel like I have an extra person. It's weird. It's like there's another male energy in the room. All right. So, any questions about what we did earlier? Like, that may have come up in the last 10 minutes? Nope. Okay. Let's do tutorial 3. Okay. So, let me just look at it here on the screen as well. Hello, screen. Okay, so this should take you about 45 minutes. I think it should probably be a bit less than that, but I think 45 minutes is not a bad time to aim for. Okay, so I don't know if it was with you guys or the other group, but in tutorial 2, I think you did, yeah. It's the same link that we used for tutorial 2 there. Okay. Instructions using image E provided. So just type in that link. It might even, I don't know if you logged in with your own profile, you might already be in your browser. But follow that link and you'll see that the previous tutorials images C and D are still in that shared folder. Okay, it's a Google Drive folder. But there's a new one in there called image E. Okay, so I want you to open image E and go ahead and basically just follow the points on the tutorial there. Okay. So it's a black and white sketch of an interior. And what might jump out at you is at the bottom of tutorial 3, I've given you an example of what I'm looking for, but that is not that's not the image that I've given you, okay? So I want you to colorize the image like that. So you're going to add colors into the sketch. You can see I've got some blue sky there in my one, and I've got a tree. I've got a wood texture on the floor, and you can see the planks look like they're following the same perspective more or less of the sketch. You can see I've got some color in the chairs there and some color on the tables and the walls, okay? But I want you to do that with the image that I've given you, which is slightly different. Okay, you're looking at something, image E is it's a scene of a lounge, okay? There's a plant on the right-hand side, there's a rectangular coffee table in the center, and there's a couch behind that with some cushions, there's a window, and then there's, looks like shelving, or it's another window, and there's some blinds, some fabric blinds on the left-hand side, okay? So I want you to make this image a bit brighter. I want to increase the contrast, essentially, to get rid of that dirty grey color that you see there. Okay, this is a good example of what a type of scan that you might get the first couple of times that you try, okay, until you play with the settings. Maybe you got a couple of grubby fingerprints on the sketch that you drew, and so when you scanned it in, that's showing through, okay? So this is an example of not such a good scan. And so I want you guys to be able to work with this kind of quality of image, okay? Because you're going to come across it all the time. Hopefully you'll get better at taking better scans yourself, but you may, you're going to collaborate, you're going to work in teams, and maybe that's what you have to work with, okay? But that's fine, because you can just do a levels adjustment on there. All right, we've been through this once or twice, and I'll help you through it again. But you can use the levels adjustment to get rid of that grey, that dirty color in the image, okay? So that you're left with nice crisp black lines and a clean white all around them, okay? So you've got a nice high contrast sketch to work with, and then we're going to colorize it, okay? So this is a great example of something you could use for a project. You don't have to render everything. I mean, it is encouraged, of course, but if you can still do a nice hand render perspective, there's a lot of character and emotion that you can put into that you can't really with a render. Sometimes a render is like a little bit sterile, and so this is really expressive and warm. That's what I like about drawing it by hand. Okay, and some people make a maybe it's not their full-time job, okay, but you can there is still a market for architectural illustration like this. So if you get really good at doing this kind of thing, you can actually sell them, Architects may actually commission you to do sketches of buildings or something like that. Usually people, I would say, because they have, an emotional attachment to their house or whatever. So if they're building it and they're very proud of it, they may actually, want a nice architectural illustration like this to keep for themselves, to frame, to hang on their wall as a memento of, it's their dream house or whatever. Okay, so I'm not going to give you too much help. I want you to try and figure it out by yourself. Okay, I've given you some clues if you read tutorial 3 there, like levels adjustments. All right. And just remember that I do want to see that you've created a new document that is that size there. If you look at the third point there, it's 1920 pixels wide by 1080 pixels high, which is full HD resolution, in case you're wondering. Okay. And then I want to colorize the sketch similar to the example. Okay, so I've given you a different sketch, but it's still a black and white sketch, and so I want you to add in colors where you see fit into the image. Okay, so if you want to put blue sky outside the window, that's fine. If you want to put it a shade of green to indicate that there may be plants outside, that's fine. Okay, so you're going to kind of think, you're going to put on your hand rendering brains, and you're going to think about how you might approach this if you're doing it in Copic, let's say, or pencil crayon, and you're going to try and recreate that process digitally, okay, using Photo-P here. And I've got there's some clues there. Multiply, okay, that's a blending mode you can put on your layer that you're going to paint all the color on, and you can paint on multiple layers, and I encourage you to do that, okay, it'll make it easier maybe. So you can, if you go a little bit outside the lines of an object, like outside the lines of the coffee table or something, you can use your select tool to select those areas where you've gone a bit skew and you can delete it. Or you can use your eraser tool and you can make sure it's got a nice hard edge so it leaves a crisp line, okay? And then you can just go and erase those parts. Or you can create a selection of the area you want to fill first and you can paint inside it with a paintbrush or use your paint bucket tool. Okay, so there are a lot of approaches you can use to put color into this image. You could even draw a vector shape and you could set the opacity of the vector shape to be a little bit less, or you could set the blend mode of the vector shape to be multiply as well. So that's another way you could do it. You could pretty much do this whole tutorial except for the wooden floor, okay, using vector shapes if you wanted to. Right, but I've only just taught you that, so I wouldn't expect you to do that right away. Most of you are probably concentrating on doing it, not actually listening to me. But I'm going to carry on talking anyway. I said you'll need to erase or mask parts of the floor that overlap with furniture. Okay, so remember, masking is like erasing, but it's like a map of where you would want the erasing to be done, which you can turn on and off. Okay, which makes it a little bit more versatile. But you can use the eraser or you can use masking to clip out parts of the image. Okay, because you're basically going to be selecting parts of the image and you're going to be putting color into it. Okay. And then as the final cherry on the cake, I want you to find a floor finish like wood or stone or carpet or something, and then you're going to put that image in there as if it was the floor. Okay, so if you find an image, a texture of some wood planks, then I want you to use the warp tool like we used in tutorial 2, where we made the billboard fit inside that empty frame. You can I encourage you to do exactly the same thing. Hold down the control key and drag those corners into place to make it, match the perspective of the sketch. And then you can create a mask where it overlaps the furniture. Okay. I'm sure you'll figure it out. Okay, so I'm just going to shut up now, and then I'm going to watch you struggle for a while, chuckle to myself, and then I'll come and give you some help. Maybe. Okay, good luck. Okay, I think I might just do this tutorial myself. Why not, eh? Remember, don't go boss with your sketch, coloring it and everything after you've got it looking nice and crisp. You need to put it into a new document. Okay, that's 1920 pixels wide, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So when I come around and check this at the end, and I go to check your image size, I want to see that it's 1920 pixels wide by 1080 pixels high. Okay, so don't forget that step. Otherwise, you'll have to change the canvas size of your image when you're finished. Okay. Just read the points. Just read the points on tutorial 3 there. 1, 2, 3. Third point down. After using your level adjustments, okay, on the dirty grey parts of the image, point 3, copy this image into a new document that is 1920 pixels by 1080 pixels high. Okay. And you'll find that under screen section. It's basically full HD resolution. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to do this tutorial silently in the background here, and you can watch what I'm doing if you like. Oopsie. Okay, if you want to copy everything in an image, you can draw a selection around the whole thing. Okay. And we'll copy everything that's on that layer. Copy. In case you didn't remember that. Okay, now I'm going to create a new blank layer. Okay, that's just the way I do it. No, in fact, you would have to do this. Okay, otherwise you're going to end up painting over your black lines. Okay, and remember, I want to see the black lines with the color there. Okay, so I don't really want to be painting on top of the black pixels on that layer. So I've created a new blank layer, and now I'm just going to go in roughly here. I'm going to choose a wall color, maybe this peachy yellow color. I'm going to go over to our brush tool there. I'm going to adjust the size a little bit. Okay, it's like painting a wall in real life. Okay, it's going to take you a long time if you use a small brush. So if my size is like 3 pixels, I go in here and I'm like, oh jeez, this is going to take forever. Okay, my wrist will probably fall off, so I'm just going to increase the size a little bit, and I can just check the shape, how round this thing is based on that wall area. There we go, maybe a bit smaller, 62, there we go. Okay, and I don't want fuzzy lines, so if my hardness is on 0, like, it's going to be difficult to paint inside the lines there. Okay, if it's too fuzzy, so I'm going to make sure that it's nice and hard, 100%. There we go. And it seems to be covering up my lines, right? Which is normal because I'm on layer 2, and layer 2 is at the top of the stack, so it is covering up any layers underneath it. Okay, so if I go over here over the curtains, whoops, okay, but I can always turn layer 2 off, and there's my sketch still there. Okay, so what I'm actually going to do at this point, I can just set layer 2 to multiply mode now. There we go. It'll be kind of then it'll appear like those black lines are still coming through. Or you could put layer 1 at the top when you're all finished and just make layer 1 multiply, and make layer 2 can stay normal. Okay, and you'll see the result is exactly the same. That's the nice thing about that multiply blending mode. Okay, so you choose whatever color you want for the walls. I have started painting in here, and just make sure that you're always on layer 2. Okay, if you accidentally switch to layer 1 and you start painting, you'll probably notice it because it'll cover up your lines, and you'll be like, oh, whoopsie. So make sure you're on the right layer, make sure it's selected there when you start painting. And if you hit undo, and in the previous action you were on another layer, if you hit undo, you might accidentally switch back to that layer. The undo will make it go back to that previous layer that you were on, so you double check that as well. Okay, I'm going to choose another color for my curtains here. Wait, let me paint a bit in between, behind this plant here. No, sorry man. They're upstairs next to the VR machine. That's the only speakers I know. Okay, and now I've accidentally gone over this ottoman here, but that's fine. I can go in there with my eraser tool. I can make sure that my hardness on that is 100% as well. Make it a bit bigger. I can just go and erase that little bit there. Okay, not looking for perfection. I mean, the sketch is quite rough, so if you go outside the lines, it just makes it look a little more characterful. Okay, it's not the end of the world. Okay, so I like what Neela's done over there. She's got dark wood on this section there, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go down here to my color picker, find something that's a darker brown. And if I'm trying to compare it to another color, I can just drag this little window over there so that I can see a nice comparison. Well, there's my old color there actually. So something more desaturated, like that. Yep. And now I can go ahead and cover up the wrong color on layer 2. I can just paint in those pixels. Oh, whoops, I'm on my razor. Shit, there we go. I can just paint over there. Or if I thought that I might want to change the color of the curtains later, I could create a new layer just for those curtains. I could just go new layer. And let me call it something as well, curtains. And layer 2, turn it on and off quickly. That's for me is the easiest way to come to see what layer is what. So I just go to my layer list here, and I just quickly click on layer 2, on off, and I'm like, oh, okay, it's that one. And then I'm just going to rename this. I'm going to call it walls. Curtains. Let me go back to curtains layer. Start painting in there. There we go. And the advantage of this is if I decide I actually want to take that color away, okay, but I still want that old color that was underneath it, I just turn that layer off, okay, and then I can still have that color there. And then I can create a new layer and redo it, or I can just erase curtains and do it again, whatever. Okay, but there we go. And I colored outside the lines here because my brush was a bit big, but I was too lazy to change it, so I'm just going to fix that with a little selection quickly, okay. Could use my eraser tool, but I'm going to do a little lasso selection. Let me freehand this, okay. I'm just going to select the parts that I don't want. And then I'm going to delete. There we're going to cut that little piece away. And then I'm going to create a new one down here. Ah, shit. Oh, that's terrible. Okay, that's not so great. Okay. So I'll clean that up a little bit with my razor. There we go. And then I went over there into the ottoman. I'll just erase that over there. Yeah. And I got a bit of my wall showing into the window there as well. So I'll just click on my wall there, and I'm going to take my razor and just trim that a little bit out there. Okay, let me add that same color. I'm just going to use the curtains layer, might as well. I'm just going to put some of that color into these slats here. So let me get my brush a bit smaller because it's too big right now. There we go. Whoops. Let me fix that a little bit. This one. Okay, not bad. Now I'm gonna put a nice gradient behind there. Yep, a nice fade from green to blue, as if there was like a grassy field outside. So I'll make a new layer, and I'm gonna call it window. And then I'm going to make a selection. I'm going to use a polygon. I'm going to do it in here like this. You don't have to do it this way. Okay. I'm just going to skip out that little bit of the couch there. And just do a rough line in there like that. There's my selection. Okay. There's my new blank layer called window. I'm going to find my gradient tool here. And I'm going to make myself some grass. I'm going to make this nice and green. I'll make this one nice and blue like the sky. Yeah. Somewhere there. Okay. Yeah. Okay, that looks good. And then I'm just going to draw it in there. Cool. Ah, shit, but it's gone over my slats. That's fine, so I'll just move it down the list, okay? Because I put that on a different layer. So I'll just go to put window at the bottom of the list. There we go. And I don't like this hard edge. I think it should fade out a little bit there. So I'm going to put a little mask over that area in case I change my mind. So I'm going to go to my window, I'm going to put a mask on it, and now I'm painting in the mask. So I'm going to select my tool here. Wait a minute, I know what I can do. I can feather a selection. That's what I'll do. Okay. So I'm going to draw a box around this edge over here, and then I'm going to right click in the selection, and I'm going to go modify, feather. I don't know, I'm just going to guess here. I'm going to say 40 pixels. Okay, maybe it'll work, and I'm going to move it over here, and then I'm going to go to delete. Delete that selection. Boom. Nice. Okay, I like that. I like that so much, I'm going to also delete that selection from these slats over there. What layer is that on? Ah, there, it's on curtains. Okay, I've still got it selected. I'm going to delete again. Here we go. Okay, cool. And now I'm going to work on some other parts. Let me make a new layer. I'm going to call it furniture. Oopsie, I made it full screen. Furniture. Okay, let's go to my brush tool. Let's get another color. Let's make this like a mustard color. No, it's going to take forever. It's bigger. Yep. Wicked. Oh, and I can't quite get into that corner there. If I make my brush is too big, it's going to just go outside the lines there. So I'm just going to zoom in here. My brush tool, make it a bit smaller. 20. Let's get right in the corner there. Let me paint in these cushions while I'm at it. Don't want them all to be the same color. So let me go to this yellow color, make it a bit darker. Okay. Paint that in there. Let's choose another one for that color. Let's go this one there. And then my hand tool, because I want to move my canvas over, I'm going to run out of space here, so I'm just going to hold in space bar. Okay, and then just gray it like that. Alright, go down here on my toolbar and click the hand tool and then move my image around. Okay, so I'm now running into this plant here, so I think I should add a bit more to the bottom of the couch there. But I can't quite remember this color, okay? So, crap, how do I get that color again? So I can just use my eyedropper tool. There we go, eyedropper. Click on it, there we go. There's my old couch color. I can go back with my paintbrush now and I can paint in that color and they will match. Let me paint some under there where it disappears. A little bit in there. Okay. Doesn't matter that I've painted into the coffee table. I'm just going to take my polygonal selection. I'm going to do this. Select the coffee table. Maybe this bit as well. And then just cut that out. Delete. Okay, deselect. Okay, it's not looking so bad. So I'm going to save my file now, just in case my computer fucks out, because it's a good habit. So I'm just going to go File, Save as PSD, and then you'll see it downloads the PSD there. There we go. So sitting in my Downloads folder is now my new project one, whatever. And I'm going to carry on working on it. Okay, and I know that at least at 10:38, I had a saved copy. Okay, so I haven't lost any work if the worst happens. Load shedding or something like that. Stick a fork in a plug, you know, because you need to wake up.
Do we need to save this one?
No, I would say just get into the habit of saving because it's good. But you don't have to save it and email it to me at the end of this. Okay, I'm going to come around and just look at it on your computers individually. Otherwise, we have to like all send and receive a bunch of emails and it's a loss. Okay, I just want to see that you did it. Okay, I'm going to walk around quickly and chuckle to myself. Now I'm a little bit embarrassed. Now I'm going to have to step it up here a little bit. Okay, fine. So now I'm just using my dodge tools basically, and I'm going over here and just darkening up parts of the image just to give the stuff more life. Into my walls. Got a lock layer one, so I'll leave that alone. Okay, that's actually a good example to use a lock function here. If you have your layers set up so that the sketch is at the top of the list and it's set to multiply, then you might want to just lock that layer so that it doesn't go anywhere. But Lazan, you're doing yours the other way around. You've got yours at the bottom of the list and you've got all the layers above it set to multiply, which is also fine. It's just the result is the same. It still looks the same in the end, but it's just a bit more work setting each layer to multiply, rather than just having one set to multiply that lives at the top the whole time. Okay, but when you use the program and you get familiar with it, then you can make these sort of decisions for yourself that save you a bit of time. Layer is locked. Why is it? Oh, I'm on layer one. Oopsie. No, it's darker in there. Okay, I'm going to put a plant in here. Choose some green. Plants. Oops, nice and small. I don't know what this is. It looks like a dead leaf or something hanging on here. Like it died and just limp. I don't know what is it. Or it's like half of a bin that got cut off. Oh, maybe that's what it was. Oh, that's the pot, and this is the edge. Oh, the guy obviously never drew in the cupboard here. Random. Okay, I'm just going to have to erase them on my wall there. It doesn't look right. Yeah, it's better. What? Choose another color there, plant. Blue color. Furniture. Sample and brown color. Okay, so I can't be bothered to go and mix a new brown color myself, but I happen to be working close to the window frame. So I just took my eyedropper tool and then I just selected the brown there, and then I'm going to use it on the legs of this ottoman here. That's my brush so small. There we go. Yeah, yeah. This coffee table. What to do there? Paint in some more wall here. Paint in some wall there. Oh shit, you see what happened there? I ended up painting the wall onto my furniture layer. You see if I turn furniture off, it's part of the wall there. Okay. That was a mistake. But I'm not gonna undo it, I'm just gonna leave it. Okay. No, that one's not working. You can use this one in the corner there. Or any of these there, the front. Okay, I'm just going to create a selection for this coffee table. It's a bit block right now, but that's okay. I'm going to use my paint bucket tool. And I'm going to make it brown color, maybe grey, greyish. Like that. Oops. Oh, not my gradient tool, paint bucket tool. There we go. Alright, shit. I ended up painting the floor as well. Okay, it's fine. I'll use my selection tool again and I'll just cut out those parts. Delete. 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 Okay, cool. I'm just going to put in some shit at the back there. Let's go to my window layer. Paint in this window here. I'm going to do polygon selection in there. This whole piece I'm going to do. What color? Brown? No. Yeah, there we go. So what I'm going to do now is, because I already have brown in those window frame section, I'm not going to bother painting them in another brown. I'm just going to create a selection around them, and then I'm just going to go to my levels adjustment, image adjustment levels. And I'm going to drag the slider around, maybe the middle one, until it's a bit darker. There we go. So I'm basically moving the point at which where the midtones are here. So I'm just sliding it past the middle there to 0.52. I get a nice dark brown color there. That was a lot easier than having to paint in those frames again. And I'm just going to get rid of this here. I'm going to put a window scene in the background there. Delete. Let's make a new selection here. Delete. Do another gradient. Okay, so I can be pretty sloppy about this. This is going to be probably my bottommost layer, so I don't need to worry about fitting it into the frame. I'm just going to take my gradient tool here. It's still got the old gradient that I did, so I'm just going to use that again. There we go. Okay, so right now, cuck, that wasn't the wrong layer, shit. Okay, I'm going to hit undo a few times. I'm going to create another layer, put it at the bottom, and then do that again. There we go. Okay. So now if I were to move this layer up to the top, you'd see that it would actually cover up the other ones, but it's fine. I'm just going to put it at the bottom of my list. And then I'm going to do a levels adjustment on that too, because I don't like that green. I want it to be a little bit brighter, maybe? Yeah, like that. Okay, that's better. Let me paint in the lamp quickly. Put it on the furniture layer. Okay, and then if I wanted to be really like smart about this, I could make a new layer and I could make it look like that bulb is glowing. So I'm just going to choose the color white, and I'm going to get a really big brush and I'm going to make the hardness 0 so it's nice and fuzzy, and then I'm just going to put one single click on top of that light bulb, like that. Ooh, that's quite hectic. Let me put it under the furniture layer. There we go. If I put it under the furniture layer, okay, I can make it seem like it's glowing. Look, glow, no glow, glow, no glow. Okay, cool. And I'm just going to paint in my pot plant, and then I'm going to put in a floor texture. Plants, furniture. I'm just going to paint on the furniture layer. It's already above plants. Red color. Oopsie. And then some green. I'm just going to get some green because it's a plant after all. And I'll make it fuzzy as well. And we sample some green here. That's green there. That one. Very rough, very rough. Wonderful. Okay, now I'm going to find a floor texture, and let's just search here for let's do granite floor texture. Anyone see where I put my coffee mug? Oh. Okay, you can choose wood or something, whatever. I think this would be probably totally the wrong choice for this interior, but I'm going to roll with it. Oh golly, look at that. Okay, I'm going to use that one. Copy. Paste. Okay, move this thing up now. You can see I can see my layer 1 on top of it because it's put it underneath layer 1, which is locked. I'm just going to call this floor. And because it's my floor, and probably be at the very bottom of my layers, so whoopsie, floor. You see, auto select, I need to turn that off. There we go. There's my floor. Let me try, fuck it, put it on the top again. I'm going to warp this. Probably there. Okay, then I imagine the floor perspective looks like this. Make this a bit bigger. Yeah, okay. You guys looking at what I'm doing? Just glance up if you haven't put your floor texture in, but there's me doing it there. The same tools that I used to warp that billboard, I'm doing on this floor texture, okay, to make it seem like it's really in the interior. Okay, and it's gelling with the perspective that I've got going on there. That looks good, cool. And then I'm going to just say, okay. And then I'm going to I'm going to mask out this area here because I don't want this hard line there. So I'm just going to, rather than erase those pixels, I'm going to do a mask instead. So I'm just going to turn that off. Go to my brush here. I'm going to make a mask for it. Okay, make sure my mask is selected. And remember the parts of the image that are black will be hidden. So I'm going to choose the color black here. I'm going to go in my paintbrush tool, make it nice and big, make it nice and soft. And there we go, paint that away. Cool. Okay, that's a bit much maybe. Let me undo that a bit. Let me go back, a bit smaller maybe. There we go. Make it fuzzy. And then if I decide I actually want that hard edge back, I can always just shift and click on my mask there to turn it on and off. Okay, but I'm going to leave it on. Looks good to me. But this floor is a little bit white. I want to make it a bit darker, so I'm just going to go back to the actual pixel part of the thing, not the mask. And I'm just going to do I'm going to do a brightness and contrast on here. And let's see if I can make it a bit darker. So maybe lower the contrast. It's not making a big difference. There we go. I'll take the brightness down. Contrast can stay where it was. Brightness down. There we go. Okay, but I've got a problem here, is that it's cutting through my couch and and my coffee table as well. So I'm going to mask those areas out. Wait a minute, if I drag it to the bottom of the list. There, okay, I just drag it to the bottom of the list. Right there, then it's covered up by all my other layers. Okay, or I could go into the mask and I could just select the color black and I could paint out those areas. I've got a problem going on with my layers here because I've got part of the ottoman showing through onto my coffee table, which means I've got screwed up the layers somewhere here. So I'm just going to turn them on and off one by one to find out where that problem is. Window, layer 2, furniture. Oh, my furniture's quite low down. Let me move that up the list. No, yeah, that did something. Layer 2. I've just got to go and correct that myself. Fine. Select this color here. There we go. Yeah, that looks good. And then I'm just going to paint some shadows on the floor. So I'm going to go to a floor layer and I'm going to take my burn tool, okay, which is a brush tool, and I'm going to get it nice and fuzzy. So my hardness will be 0, 2%, and then my size will be this, and I'm just going to go over a few times on the floor underneath this ottoman, make it a bit dark there, and maybe add some shadow around the couch as well. Okay, maybe around the coffee table a little bit. Okay, that's not half bad. Okay, I could spend another 20 minutes finessing it and, you know, adding a different shade in there and adding some highlights. Where's my furniture layer? Put in some highlight over there. You know, shit like that. Make it look really nice. Okay, that's a really practical example that you can use, colorize your own sketches without having to take the lid off a single Copic. Alright, so some of you did some pretty interesting effects. How far did you get? You're almost done. Yeah, I'd say you're almost done. I'd say paint the lamp. Yeah. Okay, nailed it. Okay, cool. I think next time I'll drag that point a little bit further down. Okay. But it is tricky. Yeah, no, that's fine. Okay, your perspective is not fantastic there, but I think you could fix it by changing that point of view or something. The one that used to be off to the left. Have you just done it now? Okay, so just undo it.
Wait, no.
You done a bunch of stuff? Okay, it's fine. So let's just use your hand tool. Just go to that hand tool and just slide this canvas over a little bit. Okay, because I want to be able to see the edge of the script. And then go back to the select tool. The select tool. And hold on 1 second, I just want to Okay, so yeah, that was tutorial 3. Well done. Yeah, okay, I'm going to help the rest of you now. But otherwise, we are done. If you're done with this, give me 5 minutes. I'm going to come around and check it now, and then you can go. And I'll see you again next Tuesday. We'll do some recap. Okay, thanks.